Hello everyone, and welcome to the 162nd episode of the Poorly Planned Podcast. My name is Benedict. You may know me better as BHL Hudson. Here we talk about movies, TV shows, a bunch of nonsense. With me as always is my friend, co-host, and Frisbee national heading boy, Frederick.
Tis I.
And
Good to be back.
In contention for player of the country? Century?
Millennia? Yeah, just had a little weekend of Frisbee, and for the first time in 10 years, the team did qualify for nationals.
You didn't tell me it was the first time in 10 years.
First time in 10 years.
I mean, did you point out that clearly they had been missing a secret ingredient for 10 years, that being
I did say
the
you've been missing the poorly planned ginger spice, and then I was banned from the event.
Right. And then you were immediately moved into last place in the National League.
No, yeah, I mean, we meme the sport as it deserves, but at the same time, there's something about it that just is so good. So we went and played 10 games this weekend across 2 days, and we bloody won. We didn't win the whole thing, but we won enough to qualify.
Qualified.
It was bloody euphoric.
Yeah. I mean, on this pod we bust each other's chops, as they say.
Yeah.
We like to meme around. I hear the stories. I see how much work you put into it and how much you enjoy it, and I just bloody great to see the work paying off and getting rewarded. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. I had a less successful weekend. I mean, I didn't do as much.
I won a Razzie.
God, I actually, you know what? One day I hope we win a Razzie in some way. We make just like a shitty movie or something. It would be quite. That'd actually be pretty good. But I did watch UFC 281 with some friends. Yeah. Stayed up all night. First time I've done that since I believe I was with you, and we watched UFC 259 back in.
And stay up all night is putting it kindly, because we did just wake up, fell asleep, wake up.
To be fair, this time I stayed up completely and I was totally fine. It was great.
It's something about your company that makes me drowsy and sad.
But it was a wonderful time. It was an amazing card, and it was kind of funny because I was watching with people. Some of them kind of knew UFC, some of them clearly did not know it at all, because the first fight ended in a brutal first round knockout, and one of the people was like, "Wait a minute, you can knock someone out in this sport?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, I thought you pin them and then they count to 3 and then that's it." And I was like, "No, I think you're thinking of professional wrestling.
Of WWE.
Yeah, this is kind of different." And she was just in absolute shock. But to be fair, to the credit of the UFC's amazing value, by the end of the night, she was like, "You know what? That was pretty exciting. That was pretty entertaining." I was like, let's go. Nice. I also think they all...
I can imagine it's a bit of a shock walking in, expecting like Rey Mysterio to do the 619 and then pin someone, to just seeing a guy getting his eyes rolled into the back of his head.
To see a 205-pound man just like face first down on the canvas. But it was great, and I do think they think I'm slightly psychotic now, because when Dustin Poirier was fighting, my favorite fighter and one of my idols, I have to say,
I was erect.
No, I'm quite the opposite. I was so flaccid. No.
I've never been more flaccid in anticipation.
No, I was like, so, because we were all talking and drinking, having fun, and then during that fight, I was just dead silent looking at the TV, and then whenever anything happened, I would just scream. I was like, "Oh!" And when he knocked Michael Chandler down, I was going crazy, and yeah, I mean, it was great. It was really fun.
None of the friends made it out alive.
I just got up, flipped tables. I was wearing my Dustin Poirier shirt. I did bring with me my Dustin Poirier hot sauce. So it was a good time. It was one
of the saddest things I've ever heard.
It was great.
I was watching the Dustin Poirier fight, and I was rooting for him in my own way with my Dustin Poirier hot sauce.
And you know what? Joke's on you. It worked as a good luck charm because he won. So
is it actually good, that sauce?
Yeah. I mean, I had a bit. I mean, I'm not.
His.
It does have his name on it. It says Louisiana style on it, which I love. Oh my God, that was actually a very embarrassing moment where one of their roommates walked in, who was also a big UFC fan. So we were just like chopping up. We were like, "Oh yeah, like I think this person's gonna win or whatever." And then he was like, yeah, I think Michael Chandler's gonna win. And I was like, oh, you're rooting against Dustin. Like, how dare you? I love Dustin. He was like, oh, you're from Louisiana. I was like, no, I just have his shirt and his hot sauce because I like him. I'm not actually from his.
No, I have no
actual
affiliation
connection
with him at all.
Except for that time he liked my Instagram photo when I was dressed up as him. So anyway, yeah.
Jay, the weirdest things happening. Yeah, so I'm watching. Let's just break it down. You're watching a man who you dressed up as for Halloween.
Yep.
Who liked your photo, rooting with a bunch of, I want to say female friends, with you glued to the screen, dead silent, his shirt on you, and in your right hand, clutching it tightly till your knuckles turn white. The Louisiana hot sauce.
I was not clutching the hot sauce, all right? I had the hot sauce
Sounds
on the
like
table.
you're it was like a biblical item you're just saying there.
But anyway, UFC 281, it was a great time. Well, besides the
Israel.
The main event
Let's
was
talk about it.
It's kind of sad. Yeah. By the way, there are time codes down below if you want to skip around too. But yeah, Israel Adesanya did get TKO'd in the last 2 minutes of a fight he was winning. Bit of a Kamaru Leon sitch. But yeah, pretty crazy, especially given the history going in that this guy had knocked him out 5 years ago in a different sport, and now the memes were pretty funny on Twitter where it's like Alex Bahia is the world's biggest hater. He just follows him from sport to sport, ruining his life. There was one that's when Israel Adesanya decides to take up golf, and they just photoshopped Alex Bahia onto a golfer's body. There's some good memes, but yeah, pretty sad but he took it really well. To be fair, he did some interviews afterwards, and he handles it like a champion, you know.
I mean, I didn't see or read any of the captions or the videos, but I just saw him dressed in a massive fur coat.
Okay, yeah, that I was not a fan of. He looked like a Grinch character or something.
I was like, what's happening here?
That's too much fur. I think I'll put a picture of it up. His head looked like it was peeking out of a bear's body. It wasn't.
It was like he just got swallowed by a lion, but then became the lion. It's very strange.
If we're honest, that was the biggest L Israel took on that night.
Israel could have been knocked out 10 times and it still wouldn't be as bad as his weird lion shirt.
But yeah, good stuff overall. Very entertaining card. And
do you think there's going to be a rematch between the main events?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're talking about doing UFC Africa at some point, which would be very cool to have Israel headlining in Nigeria in a rematch for his big failure.
That would be very cool.
That'd be very badass. But yeah, should we jump into? So today we're gonna be doing a bit of a mini reviews news topic episode. I only have one mini review. Then we have a little bit of barely have any news, a little bit of news, and then we have, I feel like the last little bit of the pod, do a little topic talking about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, latest Marvel film, just got released. I see you've seen it as well. Thank God. I was very worried that this week would be a dead topic, but
no, I saw it on the premiere actually.
Same. It was actually, we will talk about it, but I think it's been a really long time since I saw a Marvel movie with a really boisterous crowd. You know what I mean? But we'll get to it. Boisterous was a bit of an old man word to use there. Sorry.
some happy chappers we were in the
some
theater.
Shenanigans were going on. But anyway, time codes down below. Also, if you enjoy the pod, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. We're also on Apple Podcasts and iTunes, where you can leave a nice review. It helps the pod. Leave a 5-star rating. Tell your friends about the pod. It all helps us grow and become bigger and better men.
I love becoming bigger and better.
I love being... Every subscriber we get is another muscle fiber that is added to my Dustin Poirier-esque physique.
6,000 people unsubscribed somehow.
I wither like the mom from Tangled.
Wakes up, POV, you are dust.
Anyway, mini review. The only mini review I have this week is I did finally see the Banshees of Inisherin, which the Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Martin McDonagh directed film. Big fan of Martin McDonagh. He made In Bruges, which we talked about on the pod, which I loved. 3 Billboards, which is also very good, and some other things. And I was very excited for this one. And it was very good. It's basically Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson are on this little Irish island in the 1920s, and they just sort of like shoot the shit all day and just talk about whatever. And then Brendan Gleeson just decides he wants more from life, and he doesn't like Colin Farrell anymore. And then it's just kind of a sad story. He's, as we learned in my film class, Martin McDonagh is famous for the tragicomedy. Great contraction.
Classic McDonagh moment.
Where it's, like a really depressing film, but there's a lot of like dark humor, like dark kind of jokes thrown in there. And this was the same, except it was like In Bruges is like a dark comedy, but I'd say it's more funny than sad. This one's definitely more sad than funny. Like, it definitely has some like laugh out loud moments, and the Farrell puts in a great performance, and I don't know, it's just it's very enjoyable, but God, it's a depressing movie. It has like kind of the same.
That's so sad.
Yeah,
I thought it was gonna be more lighthearted.
No, I don't know. I saw a review that said it's a feel bad movie, and that's a pretty good way of describing it. Like, I don't know, it's not like Manchester by the Sea. Like, it has more, levity to it than that. But it is, especially by the end of it, you're just like, that was kind of like, it's really, I don't know, it's a really well done film. It's very poignant, and like it sticks with you, and I think it's very good, and I'd recommend it. But yeah, bit of a sad watch. I don't know, yeah.
Bit of a sad time.
Although there is great dynamics with Colin Farrell and his donkey, which he loves. I think you would enjoy that. I think
of course Colin Farrell loves a donkey.
You would really enjoy the Farrell moments in this. But bit of a sad one, yeah.
All right, gotcha. Well, speaking of sad, good and enjoyable, but also sad, I did finish my rewatch of The Office this week.
Yes.
With my girlfriend who hadn't seen the last few seasons, and we were watching it through, and there was a lot of crying towards the end of it. I won't lie. I won't say who, me or her who did it, or both, but crying was happening. And
but tears were in my beard. You can decide where those came from.
Yeah, who knows? Like, tears were in my eyes. I'm not saying they were mine.
She cried directly into my face.
I looked at her, and she just shot out horizontally. Just no, but like, I honestly forgot. Like, I remember the Michael leaving bit was really sad and like stuff like that, but I totally forgot how emotional the last few episodes are. Like when Dwight and Angela get together and the whole wedding and everything, and like the Guten Prank number 3, and like it's just so wholesome, but like also it's like, bittersweet because you're like, it's ending. No.
Actually, I've been thinking about making a video about this topic specifically, of why sitcoms have you can get such a connection to them, and why they have such emotional endings. Because whenever a sitcom ends, I think it's something to do with, you go on this, when you laugh with someone, it makes it more emotionally impactful when like more serious moments happen, I guess. And I also think because you get attached to sitcom characters and they feel like, friends in a way, it reminds you of, like, I remember when we left the school that we attended together on like the last day, like the graduation. It was an amazing day, but I remember it felt like, it had a similar vibe to that finale where it's like you're saying goodbye to your friends and you're having an amazing time, and like it's all, but like it's ending, it's bittersweet in like a beautiful way. Yeah. And I think it carries that sort of similar energy, which is why it's so emotional at the end. Yeah.
And I especially I'd say I still definitely love New Girl as a show more than The Office, but I think the ending of The Office does hit harder than New Girls, because they really put emphasis on the fact of like, I mean, I found it a bit weird in the beginning how they like really embrace the fact that they're like now talking to the camera crew and stuff like that, but at the same time it does kind of bring the whole thing together, like, 9 years of our life, you gave us that, like, and it kind of like shows videos of like previous seasons and of Michael and all that stuff. I'm like, it's such a like beautiful little culmination of the series. I'm like, I loved it, but it also made me sad.
Yeah, it is. It's a perfect ending, I think. I also, by the way, just on The Office, I'm rewatching it as well, and I watched the Booze Cruise episode yesterday, and it did make me unintentionally laugh. And I've never really gotten this, but it was just such a weird moment. Where I remember when Jim and Pam, they go outside because like everyone's partying too much, and Pam's like, I don't really get Roy sometimes, and Jim just does the most like serial killer stare. He just goes like, yeah. And then he just turns and just stares at her like open mouth, and she just looks at him, and he just kind of keeps looking at her like, then she just dips. I don't know, like there are a lot of beautiful and very like human Jim and Pam moments where it's like the kind of awkwardness of like when you have a crush on someone or whatever. But that moment I feel like really didn't. It's just Jim is kind of just like he was just like really living.
Jim's like,
moment.
oh my god, she doesn't get him.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no, The Office is a great time. Do you have any else, or we can do some quick newsums?
I don't think I do.
All right.
I think we just hit the newsums.
The newsums. Well, there's a couple of things. I think we'll start off with quite a sad newsum, and we don't usually cover like celebrity deaths on the pod because it is like the pod is such a jokey, like, you know, not taken seriously thing that like I don't want to disrespect people by covering it in that way. And also if you cover one and then don't cover others, like it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of weird. It's like you're choosing who to like honor. But I think we should mention, because we've talked a lot about the Justice League animated show.
Yes.
Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and not only that, but Batman the Animated Series, a ton of other Batman media, I think the Arkham video games as well. Yeah, I mean, he was just a fantastic voice actor. He was sort of that iconic voice of Batman for a lot of, like, of our generation, I guess. Like, that's still my favorite version of the character, is the one in Justice League.
In Justice League, yeah, same.
Yeah, and he also just... you know, when someone passes away, a lot of these stories come to light of like all these nice things they did, and he just seemed like a really cool guy. There was a funny story about him after 9/11 was helping in like a food bank, and he did like the Batman voice, and they all like freaked out, and it was, I don't know, just he seemed like a cool
wholesome
guy. Yeah, so rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. Yeah, just sad times, but great voice actor and guy.
Agreed.
Did you see the trailer for John Wick Chapter 4?
I did indeed.
Oof.
I'm on my trailer game.
Yeah, let's go. Fucking once. Did you enjoy...
There's no winning.
John Wick, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, at the end there, is he doing a Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine where he's deflecting bullets with a samurai sword? Was that what was going on there? Because they were like shooting at each other and like blocking with the sword?
See, I think he might have been doing that.
Which hypothetically is the dumbest thing on earth, but for some reason, it kind of works.
Kind of fucking works in this one.
I don't know. I mean, they have to keep upping the levels, I guess.
Yeah, but they also need to make sure that they don't
make it a cartoon.
Become Kung Fu Panda all of a sudden.
Yeah. John Wick shoots a dumpling out of someone's mouth. I don't know. That would actually be pretty cool. Imagine he shot someone
so dope
through
Let's
a
do
dumpling.
That. Let's make it happen. John Wick Chapter 5, the Dumpling Man.
Just the dumpling. It's a very ominous title. You have no idea what'll happen going in.
No trailers released.
The poster is just a black screen. It makes all of the money. To be fair, I would watch the fuck out of a movie like that where they just like don't put any marketing. It's just like you just gotta go see what it is.
You just gotta go see it. The dumpling. I would honestly.
Like, what is he gonna do with it? Is he gonna kill someone with it? He's gonna be killed by it.
He's gonna sit on it.
What if that was the whole movie? John Wick just sits on a dumpling. You're like, damn, I really paid $20 to go see this.
Totally worth it.
But yeah, I mean, it looks. I don't have a lot to say besides that. It looks like it looks like a John Wick movie, really. I mean, it has.
Yeah, it looks
good. It has some. I like the like shooting on the horseback kind of thing. That feels like a little bit of a original thing. Like the John Wick movies have kind of sometimes mixed like the modern assassin world with like the suit and tie and the guns and all that with a more like traditional older fashioned type of world with this like society thing, which at points I think gets too bogged down in all this like the high table whatever, but sometimes I think it can lead to cool stuff like shooting on horseback and such things.
The coolest thing I've ever seen, John Wick shooting on horseback.
There is also, of course, they have to get John Wick doing the like I'm gonna need a gun.
See, at this point, he just genuinely seems like a bit of a simpleton whenever he does it.
Does it?
I saw it, I was like, it hit hard the first like 2 movies. And
yeah, they kind of done. Why is it his catchphrase?
I'm gonna need a gun, Winston. He's like, ha ha ha, you silly goose. Like,
Yeah,
no,
it's also like, duh. Like what do you
like,
think?
obviously you need a gun.
What if he leaves
John?
without it? It'd be like, John,
just
don't
gets
you
shot and kills or killed. Like,
just on horseback without a gun? Just fucking.
where's the cool factor in that? Nowhere, I say. No, I mean, it might work better in the movie, but in this trailer, it did, to me at least, come across as very just kind of clunky.
Yeah, I think.
And also like. It looks like he's genuinely, like, he's not a bad, like, I don't think he's a great actor, but I also don't think he's a bad actor, Keanu Reeves. But in this one, he really comes across as maybe the worst actor of all time.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's because
I'm gonna need a gun.
Because we know Keanu Reeves and he's like a beloved icon, you sort of, you've gotten used to it and you accept it and whatever. But yeah, if you showed this to someone who doesn't know who Keanu Reeves is, they'd be like, why? This guy's awful. Like, he's so wooden. But I guess it's his style. I don't know. But I remember I kind of was like that when I first started watching.
So what kind of approach do you take to acting? The wooden kind of bad approach.
I don't do it very well, I think. They're like, brilliant. Now can you say,
We'll
I'm
have
going to
you,
need
Keanu.
a gun?
I'm gonna need a gun. You pissed, John?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of plays a little bit like a John Wick, greatest hits. Like the movies might get a little repetitive. Like, you have Winston being like, the high table is whatever. And then you have Lawrence Fishburne being like, there's a gun. And then you have his like guy at the desk being like, I'm still, are you staying with us one more night, Mr. Wick, or whatever? It's, I don't know.
Well, but surely, like, I think Winston's gonna die.
He fucking bet. Didn't he fall off a building? No, that was John last time. he got shot, didn't he?
Winston falls down like 6 stories, just stands up.
Splats. But
no,
yeah.
so Winston betrayed John.
Yeah, no, that's what I replaced Winston with John. That's my bad.
It'd be so funny if John just turns around and shoots Winston off the building.
No context. Just sick of his bullshit. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Trailer didn't blow me away. It looks like a John Wick movie, What can you ask for? I think we can skip these last 3 pieces of news because they're not really anything, and we can just get to them next time. Get excited for us to talk about.
We'll just talk about them last episode.
We'll talk about the Snoop Dogg movie a couple weeks ago. But should we dive into our topic of the day?
Ooh, I think we should.
The latest Marvel film, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, from Ryan Coogler, I believe. I saw it on opening night, as you did, I think. And
wait, what time did you see it?
7:45 maybe.
Never mind. 9:20 guy over here.
Well, I got it earlier than you. I could have spoiled it for you. Also, should we go spoilers from the jump, just so we can kind of talk more freely?
I think we should go spoilers from the beginning. Yeah.
All right, let's do spoilers. But on the cinema experience, like I was saying earlier, it's been a really long time, I realized, since I was in like a packed cinema of like enthusiastic people, because I think the last time, like, I remember I saw No Way Home and people clapped, but it was in Denmark where it's a little bit more reserved, and just in general it wasn't even like the Marvelness of like cheering and clapping, whatever, but just like an audience like laughing really hard at the jokes. I hadn't experienced that because the movie it doesn't have a joke really for the first like 20-30 minutes or so. It's quite like somber and serious, and then when M'Baku comes on and he does his little thing, the audience just like
M'Baku creates uproarious applause.
He did, like, the whole audience just, and it was this energy that I haven't felt in a while, just like everyone laughing and having a good time. And it was really nice. Sometimes I have to say I would take the more reserved crowd, because sometimes people were just talking and like in the middle of it. I'm like, God, you can't have this conversation.
M'Baku's on.
Yeah, guys, come on. But and there were some people behind us who I think were really fucked up, which like never is great. But I don't know. I guess do your thing, I suppose. But
go off, Queens, I guess.
But yeah, it was just a really like good cinema experience, I guess. Yeah, and I
mean, I'll say I think because I got a later one, so there's like different seats cost different amounts. We wanted to get the cheapest seats because we are cheap peeps, as they say. But so like there wasn't that many people in the later showing that I went to. But even still, there's maybe like half the cinema was full, and goddamn, still the atmosphere was just great.
Yeah. And they know how to watch a movie around these parts of the world, I guess. Yeah. So overall, I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, me too. I honestly liked it more than the first one.
Yeah, probably. I think the first one does maybe individual things better, but I think it kind of falls apart towards the end. Like the big climax is sort of a little bit like meh, But this one, I think overall I think it also maybe felt a bit like a breath of fresh air, because a lot of the Marvel things lately, even the good ones like No Way Home and Doctor Strange, have felt a bit like more like spectacle over movie first, you know what I mean? And especially with Thor: Love and Thunder, which felt kind of like an SNL skit over a movie. They
honestly,
it's been more like, you're kind of like you're going to like the circus or like a big show instead of like like a movie, And this I feel like felt more like a proper like a story, a film with, of course, lots of spectacle, which we can get to. But I don't know, it had a more complete film feeling to it, I guess.
It did, yeah. And what do you think of the villain? Because I really liked Namor. I thought he was one of the best villains yet.
Yeah, I thought he had a charisma to him that I liked. I thought he was kind of like a bit of a, I don't know if suave is the right word, but a bit of a...
He was very debonair in his little tidy whities.
A little bit of like a... I don't know, like none of the words coming to my mind work because I was going to say swashbuckling, but somewhere on the scale of suave and swashbuckling.
Bit of a rapscallion.
He's somewhere.
You remind me of a man who hunts for booty.
Like you can imagine him like sauntering into a dining hall, but also like sneaking away with multiple women, Jack Sparrow style. I don't know. Anyway.
Weirdly accurate way of describing it.
Right? Yeah, that kind of like energy to him. It was a good performance, and yeah, I think they put more effort into him as a villain than they have some other villains, where he actually, has a perspective that you can appreciate. There is a little bit of like they've done this cliche. They've done this with Aquaman a lot of times, where it's like the sea people are mad that like humans are interfering with their environment, and they kind of, which is a little bit of a weird message to make like the environment people the villains, but it's a little bit of like a cliche sort of thing. But they added a little bit extra. I liked the city and how they develop his world and his backstory, and how there are very obvious parallels between that and Shuri and like the loss she's experienced in her world with Wakanda and everything. I thought they had really solid chemistry, him and Shuri.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, towards the end, I feel like he does maybe go a little bit crazy villain.
He does go, because I think he is quite an agreeable man, and maybe Shuri doesn't agree with whatever his thing is, but you can at least understand it from his point of view. But then towards the end, he does go a little bit just like, you either ally with us or I'm gonna kill your entire race. It's like
it's sort of like he seems quite reasonable, and he's like, here, I give you some food and like a tour of the city, and like we are not so different. And then he's also like, now burn the world with me or I will kill you. It's like, okay.
There's a little bit of like a step to the side there, but like at the same time,
generally still,
he's just like a cool guy.
Still worked. Yeah, I could get excited for a future project that has him involved. Like they might do like a Disney Plus.
I like his winged feet.
I was not a fan of that, I'll be honest. That looked goofy as hell.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to make it not goofy as hell, but it was just like... It was also because they took it so seriously, because I think I'm just used to in Marvel movies when something's kind of goofy, they're like, oh, check out this thing. But they were so like, they call him the winged feather serpent, and then he just floats up there like dancing around with his winged feet. I don't think there's any way to make it look not weird, but I don't know. I guess fair enough. I go off king.
Go off king, I guess.
But... yeah, I think, should we also talk about how they handled Chadwick Boseman and the whole T'Challa part of the film?
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done, and about as well as you could do it. And I think...
yeah, I can't see how they could have done it more tastefully than what they did.
No,
because, they incorporated it into the story, but also pay good tribute.
Yeah.
Without making it a Ghostbusters situation, Which would have been unfortunate. Because, again, I wouldn't put it past people to do something like that. But I'm happy they didn't.
Also, I put out a video about bringing back old characters or whatever, and how it's like not a great thing. And the first thing I say is like, yeah, Ghostbusters really like shit the bed on this one. And I guarantee you, all the comments are gonna be like, Ghostbusters did it fucking great. I don't know what you're talking about. I knew putting that first thing in the video was gonna piss people off, but I was like, well, you know.
But I love the controversy.
But I drink your tears. I don't know, but I just
But I drink your tears.
Again, like I genuinely just that's how I feel. But anyway, yeah, no, I think I was thinking they might maybe I thought at the end they would do like not a CGI recreation, but they might do like she goes to the spirit realm or whatever, and you kind of like see the back of his head or something, and she's like, oh my god, like, and then it like cuts to black. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I think the way they did it, was really really good.
When she drank or ate the flower or whatever, like the heart flower or whatever it's called, and she went to the realm, I was like, oh, please don't have Boseman
CGI,
yeah, CGI Boseman, because like again, I think that would have worked in the story, but at the same time, I don't think it should have been done. But then, just a sneaky Killmonger is there.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can definitely get to Killmonger. Just on the Boseman side, I think the overall tone of the movie, I think, was really really well done, because it is like, you know, a fun superhero movie, but it does have more so than pretty much any other MCU movie this sort of like melancholic undertone, like from the way it starts, and you know the opening credits were very sweet with, you know, they put Chadwick Boseman in the Marvel logo, and yeah, I just think they incorporated it into a story in a like you said, in the most tasteful way you could, and yeah, I think it was, and it added like they didn't like try to brush past it. It added to their arcs. It added to like it tied into Namor's story and how she relates to him, and I think it was very well done. Do you want to talk about Killmonger's little cameo?
Little cameo? Yes, let's do it. I mean, as I said, I think he's one of my favorite villains as well in the MCU, Killmonger. So I was happy to see him return, and like also I was very much proven to be a fool, because some people, like one of my friends who I walked in to see the movie with, he was like, "Oh yeah, I heard Killmonger might make a return." He was like, "You idiot! He died. He's dead." I was like, I ridiculed.
Did you even watch the other movie? Fucking.
Did you even see what happened to him? Like, what the hell? He's like, no, he might come back. I was like, no, you fool. And then he comes on, and I look to my left, and he's just sitting there with the slyest, smuggest grin I've ever seen on a man. It's like, okay, fine, you win this one. But no, I mean, I quite liked it. His little return.
I had a similar thing, kind of, where I just felt very validated, because I saw it with someone who, not a huge like MCU fan. And I was trying to explain the first movie, and I was like, oh, by the way, Michael B. Jordan was in it, so if he just like randomly shows up, you know, that's why. And then when he did it, I was like, oh, God, I'm such a fucking guru.
God, I know this industry.
God, I'm gonna make it big someday. But I mean, I don't know. It was cool to see him again, and it played into Shuri's whole arc and some such. I did think the extremely like mind-blowingly pointless appearance of the Freeman could have cut all of that out of the movie 100%. Like, find
genuinely the most useless Freeman I've ever seen.
He did. I mean, like, I know he played a part in the story, but you could very easily have rewritten that to literally anything else. Like, he just like closed tiny plot holes to like have. I think it's just to have that woman, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who I still hate. Not the actress, the character. I know she's supposed to be annoying, but I hate how she's supposed to be. Like, she's more annoying than she's supposed to be.
She is so like. Again, I've not watched a few of the Marvel shows now and stuff like that. Wasn't she like a big old like scheming villain and stuff like that?
Well, she's kind of. It's been implied she's
like an annoying governmental.
Yeah, she keeps popping up and she's like, you know, I'm doing like a team or like a secret bad thing, and I don't know. They keep. I feel like they're kind of forcing it a little bit. Like, you know, sometimes they do this with Marvel where it's like, oh my god, it's like Thanos. He keeps popping up here and there. It's really cool. And this one just feels like they're trying to like jam and be like, look, she's gonna be important in the Thunderbolts movie, and I'm like, I'm not here for it.
I don't care. We saw Freeman running.
It felt so not needing to be there. I actually really liked who was it? Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams. I thought she was actually like a fun addition to the movie. I thought it could be a bit of like they introduced sort of like a young character to like relate to the kids and to make like a TikTok reference, and there was definitely sometimes where it's like, say a one-liner, you know. Generally, I don't know. I thought she was actually quite fun, and I would actually, when they announced like the Ironheart show that they're making, I was sort of like, why would I have an investment? I don't.
Oh, is she gonna star her own show?
Yeah, they are giving fucking Freeman will probably have a show by the end of this whole thing. It's just Freeman walking around doing bureaucratic, busy work. Just
Freeman doing his gardening chores.
Actually, I'd watch the fuck out of that. That'd be way better.
Honestly, that sounds really good. That sounds like some like Bob Ross kind of painting thing.
Yeah, hey, we just come up with something fucking brilliant. Martin Freeman doing like a Bob Ross type show, maybe like a Mr. Rogers type of vibe.
Martin Freeman. So this is how you're gonna pluck the carrot.
I liked her a lot. I thought she was very likable. Not sure where she got the repulsor technology. I guess she just invented it. They kind of like she just has her own Iron Man.
I mean, the whole I honestly I liked her. She was fine, but I think her whole like they put way too much emphasis on her, like the fact that she built that one machine. It's like so like clearly there's like. I don't know. Like, so I didn't really get... So did she make that exact machine, or was that machine made off something she did?
I think she made that exact machine. But I also... You know, I thought that was a little silly also. Like, Namor's like, and I will kill the scientist who made it. And it's like, clearly you can see, like, she's a high school student who, like... You know, you'd probably go more after the government and the CIA, and you wouldn't have to, like, fixate on her specifically. But I don't know. I feel like people are overreacting. I mean, of course, it's like... Marvel fans sometimes do, but like I've seen some memes that are like when you see Riri Williams in the Iron Man suit and it's like Harry Potter screaming, "How dare you stand where he stood?" And I'm like, all right, get over yourselves a little bit. But I don't know, I do think a problem with the film in relation to that is towards the final climax, which I thought was better and more interesting than the one in the first one, because there was more kind of dynamics involved in like underwater and all this cool shit going on. I do think they had too many elements in it. Like too many people got a new suit. Like Riri Williams has her Iron Man suit, and then you know she has her new Black Panther suit, and then the Dora Milaje get their new suits that can also fly. And there were kind of like too many elements going on. I was like, you could kind of tone it down a little bit, but I did think the underwater stuff all like looked very good and was.
It did look quite
cool.
I mean, some of this, I don't know. I wasn't completely taken by some of the CGI of the like whales and stuff. I was like, that looks a little silly.
Fair enough. I didn't really notice, but I think
you could show me a drawing of a whale, and I think that'd be a picture.
I'd scream. So I think actually, I also kind of wish they leaned more into the first scene where Namor's people take over that boat. It had this like horror vibe to it, where like they ominously. Whatever, like they're singing or whatever, like hypnotizes people to jump off, and they like are climbing up the sides and all this shit. And like, I feel like if they lent more into that later, that could have made that climax also more interesting. But I thought that was a very cool introduction. Like his music was great. I don't know. I thought
everything was about the opening was actually quite scary, and they do use like the siren voices to hypnotize. Like they don't really touch on that a lot more afterwards. Like, couldn't they just...
I thought that would play a little.
That's
more.
the case. That just always happens where they show a really cool power in the beginning of something, and they just never use it again. Yeah, even though it could like solve most of the fights or conflicts like within in an instant. Yeah,
if you just get them, to jump in the water, you'd be.
My advice to you: get them.
If you just get them, Namor, you know. No, very true. I think. You're right. It kind of just does happen all the time. But to its credit, with that opening scene and a lot of the sort of setups, it did have, like I was saying earlier, more of a unique feel to it than some of these superhero movies have lately, where it feels like instead of kind of like you almost have blocks on a timeline, you just like fill in like things for your movie. They actually tried to do creative stuff for different parts of it, which I appreciated. I have a couple of noteworthy, memeable things here. Just things that caught me off guard.
Okay, you go. And then
I guess. No. We'll talk about M'Baku. Don't worry. We'll get to M'Baku.
Okay.
I was thinking, first of all, Actually, not even memeable, but just the soundtrack was great, and I just enjoyed that there was a Stormzy song on there that just caught me a little bit off guard, but I was like, very nice, I like Stormzy. And then something that really caught me off guard, because I knew it, like I'd read the headline a few months ago, but I totally forgot about it, and when he showed up in the movie, it threw me off so fucking much, and I just started laughing, and the whole cinema was silent, so I clearly no one else got it, but fucking in the background, and he has like one line, and he kind of shows up throughout. Fucking Kamaru Usman, former UFC welterweight champion.
I did not even clock that.
Is in this movie. He's the one when M'Baku first shows up and some random guy says something to him and M'Baku's like, shut up, whatever. That's him. That's Kamaru Usman. That's the former UFC welterweight champion. It's just so random. Like, it's like the Francis Ngannou moment in Fast and Furious 9 where I'm like, what are you doing here? It threw me off so much. Oh my god, it was so funny.
Is Usman in the final fights and stuff like that with?
I think so. He's definitely at the very end when they do like the final ceremony or whatever. But yeah, it's also funny that like clearly they filmed this a year ago when he was like number one pound for pound best champion whatever, and then a couple months ago he got
whenever you
head-kicked.
see him, you just see him get knocked out.
He was at the UFC at the weekend, and they like panned from him, and then Leon was sitting like somewhere else, and they panned from him, and it was just felt as disrespectful. But yeah,
my boy got violated.
Actually, yeah, he was at the UFC with Lupita Nyong'o and someone else from this movie as like in promotion of it.
Martin Freeman.
Yeah, they throw Martin Freeman in there, and star of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Here's Martin Freeman. Crowd goes bananas.
Here's the man who made this movie a cultural sensation, Martin Freeman.
And here's the focal point of the cultural impact that Black Panther had. Julia Louis-Dreyfus. But yeah, no, by the way, I did want to say, and I'm not just salty that I got my prediction wrong that she would be the new Black Panther, but I feel like Lupita Nyong'o is just underused in this movie because she's so charismatic and like
so good.
She's so good. Like I feel like she should have way more of a role in this universe. She's just delegated to kind of like side character, and then in the final battle she gets like nothing to do really. And I get it makes more sense for. I'm not saying she should be the new Black Panther. Like in the actual film, it made a lot of sense for Shuri to take on the role. I just wish she had more to do.
I think she should have been the new Black Panther.
I mean,
I think it would have been better.
Dang, hot take. I mean, I think you could have written a way for it to be great. I think the way that the film set it up, I think it worked for Shuri to do
fair.
it.
But like I think walking into
from
it,
the beginning,
Shuri shouldn't be this.
What did you think of Shuri overall?
I liked her, honestly. I thought it was a really good performance. I liked the development throughout. I like how like the whole of her like just being like, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna murder this bastard. Like I kind of like that whole kind of like badass, no nonsense approach. Obviously, it was not gonna happen. Like she's not gonna murder Namor in cold blood. But at the same time, I was like, okay, go off, Queen. I like the whole kind of scientist stuff where she's like trying to make the heart plant and stuff like that with the help of the American student. I liked it. As a Black Panther, I thought she was kind of not very impactful, but
I guess it's hard to live up to the T'Challa,
to the Boseman.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, like she's not obviously not a fighter to begin with, so just the fact that she was given this, and again, it works for the story. But I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, but
also give it to Lupita.
But also, please, Lupita would be better for it.
But also, give Martin Freeman the heart shifter. Imagine that was the twist. I would love it if there was a scene where they were like all stood around. They're like, we need someone to take it, and it pans it on Shuri, and then
pans to Martin Freeman.
The next scene, you see the Black Panther, and you're like, oh my god, is it Lupita? Is it Shuri? And just the mask comes off, and it's Martin Freeman. Crowd goes bananas. It's like an Endgame style reaction.
Charlie Cox-esque moment. Everyone's quiet in sheer awe.
I can't believe
that son of a bitch really did it.
Yeah, I thought she was very good, and yeah, I think as like the Black Panther, I think it's maybe like a role she can grow into more. But yeah there might have been a little bit of like a missing like impact from this, but I thought she was pretty good in the role. I did think also, by the way, just on the Boseman thing again, I did think, yeah, it did a good job of like honoring him in that way. And also the movie, like, I'm not saying this is a criticism, but it did have sort of a feeling of like he was missing, you know what I mean? Like there was like a and I think that was intentional. There was like a melancholic, like, because sometimes I did catch myself thinking like, oh, it would be great if then like if he was, or thinking like, what would this movie have looked like if he didn't pass away, and like what story would they have gone with? Like, would he have been in this role that Shuri's in right now with Namor and all that? And I don't know. I think that was intentional, but there was definitely that like feeling of him missing, hanging over
being
in like a
gone.
Respectful way. But should we talk about, to close it out here, M'Baku?
We should. Before we do that, quickly, sure. I also didn't like that Shuri just literally got fully impaled, probably through her spine, and then just walked it off. Anyways. Yeah,
that was a bit of a didn't hit any vital organs type of moment.
Yeah, it's like, you missed every vital organ. M'Baku. Can I just say, I've never seen a man make so many stupid and nonsensical decisions in such a short amount of time.
Wait, what do you mean? What are you referring to?
When Namor and the water people invade,
oh yeah,
what's M'Baku's first instinct to do? Obviously jump directly into the water and nearly drown himself, and then haul his ass back on a boat and nearly make that boat sink. Poor fisherman, I say. Jay sat there and like I just looked so puzzled when he did that. He was like, just jumped into the water. I was like, what are you gonna do in there, M'Baku? They could all literally swim and breathe underwater.
I didn't even think of that, but that is a good point. Yeah, you wouldn't really dive into their like exact territory that they want you to be in.
Just to haul yourself back out onto a boat and regret everything you did while making zero impact.
Then get punched in the chest really, really hard. That was pretty good. I thought, he was, his usual kind of funny self. He had the bald-headed demon line did get a big laugh.
Yeah, that did get me as well.
And I think he took on a little bit of a older brother kind of role in like when he was talking to Shuri at the funeral and that kind of thing, which I liked. Was kind of confused by the ending. I didn't really get what was going on. So she decided, was it supposed to be a joke that she didn't show up to the final ceremony? Because she, like, in the first movie, she was like, this is stupid. And he was like, a child who scoffs at tradition. Remember that part?
I do remember that part.
So why did she not show up? Was that supposed to be funny, or was it, what was the...
I don't think it was supposed to be funny. I mean, M'Baku didn't seem to like it, and therefore I don't like it.
Yeah, he was like, I'm here to challenge for the thing. Like, what was... I was kind of confused by that. Maybe I'm just dumb. I didn't really get what was happening. And then it cut to a Freeman escape.
So he challenged at the end there, right?
Yeah, so that's why I thought it was supposed to be funny. Is he like, he's like, a friend of hers and he still likes her, but like he also like still has that like pride in him that he wants to challenge for the throne after all that.
Complete 180 turn. M'Baku's actually a villain.
Total disrespect. He spits on the mother's grave at the funeral.
Really bad moment in the cinema. Someone did hysterically start laughing when the mom was just lying face down.
Yeah, there were a couple moments of like, to be fair, to the audience's credit, whenever it was like a Chadwick Boseman type of moment, everyone was silent and like respectful. Mm-hmm. But there were a couple of moments where like during the mom's funeral, someone was laughing in the background. I was like, come on. What are we doing?
Unfortunate.
Yeah, but
no, I mean I like M'Baku in general. He's nutty, but he was just he was more nutty in this one than he was in the first one, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he was a little bit more of a villain in the first one. But overall, I'm going to say I really enjoyed it. We didn't really touch on the action, but there were some really great action scenes. I think the one on the bridge was the best when Okoye fights off the sea.
That one was very good.
She was also good as well. There were a lot of characters in this. I think there might have been too many characters, though, because I completely forgot Okoye was in this until just now. But overall, I really liked it. I thought it was a well-toned, as respectful as you could do this kind of thing. And on top of that, it had more... It felt, I hate to say this because it sounds mean to the other people, like I'm sure the other films have had a lot of effort put into them, but it felt like it had more effort than some recent Marvel projects. At the very least, it had more like story and more purpose than kind of just being spectacle, and I really enjoyed it.
I think that is also just like, and as it should be, like a result of Boseman's passing, of like they really wanted to make this a a special and good movie, because like it would be slightly unfortunate if like this movie that's supposed to pay tribute to him is just genuine dog crap, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of like that definitely like added to the effort put into the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a fitting tribute in pretty much every sense. I think it was probably my favorite. Like, I like No Way Home a lot, obviously, but in terms of just like a movie overall that you can enjoy without sort of like knowledge of previous films and all that kind of stuff, I think it's probably the best one since Shang-Chi, maybe.
Yeah,
and
I would say it was a little bit long in parts.
Yes,
like it felt long.
Yeah, but yeah, and to its credit, the person I saw it with, who's not a Marvel fan, actually really enjoyed it, which I think says a lot.
There we go.
But yeah, out of 10, off the top of my head, probably like an 8.6, 8.7, somewhere around there.
I'll give it an 8 point. What do you say, 8.7?
Yeah, something like that.
I'll give it an 8.8 just to show that I appreciate it more than you.
Damn. Well,
but also in the 8 kind of region.
Yeah. Well, now it's time for
the Cnews.
So we have a development, a sequel almost to Tom Cruise last week, where if you recall, Tom Cruise became friends with the Queen shortly before her passing. According to Geo.tv, Tom Cruise could be given quote-unquote role at King Charles III's coronation. So I'm going to assume he's going to be the one to place the crown on his old head.
He's going to play the king.
He's going to become the new king of England, I think is what they're trying to say.
I think
Charles III
I like it.
Hand it over to the Cruise dynasty. So he'll probably be there in some like he was at the Jubilee, some kind of like presenter role, or I don't know, maybe he'll like stand. I don't know what the fuck you do at a coronation. Who cares? It's all, kind of dumb and pointless and not great. But Cruise, doing a thing. That's what the Tom Cruise is all about.
Thing. Classic Cruise moment, doing things.
Now for the announcements and such, we're gonna look at some comments real quick. Bada bing, bada boom. From the last episode, which was bit of a I don't want to say it wasn't a stinker, but it was one of our more ridiculous ones in a while. It's been a while since we did just like an unhinged one. So let's see some comments here. Al Feld says, "Can you please do a benefit watch of Spectre, the first Woodies ever?" Yeah, we could.
Ooh, sure.
We could.
I don't think it would be a very good benefit watch because the movie is kind of mid.
There's not a lot to
for the memories.
Yeah, could be one. Josie says, "I couldn't get up from the ground this entire episode. I was laughing so hard. Truly my favorite episode so far. Also, I'd love to see a Lex Luthor recast where if it is Bryan Cranston, he goes from Eisenberg to Heisenberg. Fucking brilliant.
That's so clever.
That's really good. I'm glad you enjoyed. Yeah, I feel like we stray back and forth from the slightly professional to the completely ridiculous. I feel like sometimes we just have to have an episode where we do a bit of shithousery, as they say.
We let the dogs out, as they say.
ZJ13 Goat says, "Great way to start my weekend. Also just got out of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and it was very good." I agree, and thank you. Anson says, "Let's go. Freddy's watching Spy X Family. Hope you enjoy the rest. It's easily my favorite show currently airing. It fills me with so much unbridled joy. Spy Family, what a delight." So I thought you'd enjoy that because you were very high on
delightful.
The wholesome kind of fun of Spy Family. Jesus. And Anson also says, "It's weird because even though this episode did feel kind of lame in some ways, as you consistently pointed out, I was still laughing basically the whole time. So task failed successful." That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, well, I would say
that's what we like to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for saying we're lame, but it works.
Glad you enjoyed. Daniel says, "Another truly great and ridiculously enjoyable episode. Keep up the great work." Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
He says, "PS pod idea where you do a movie fights-esque thing where you have movie ask questions to answer, and one of you will pick a different answer, and you have to fight it out to see who wins that round. Another PS, my day is going well." Okay, glad to hear Daniel's day is going well. And that, I think he's referring to, there used to be a show on Screen Junkies called Movie Fights, where they'd do what's the best 80s movie, and you each pick one, and then you debate it out. I think we could do that. The only problem is we'd need a moderator to declare the winner. But we have some friends.
I'll be the moderator.
Oh, okay, well that also, yeah.
That's how it works here.
But no, that's actually a really good idea. I'll put that in the idea box. Jaden says, here are some good ones that I thought of. Some crossovers of Marvel and DC.
Okay.
Walton Goggins' Ant-Man character and BVS Lex Luthor. That would be a great matchup, actually.
That would be awesome.
Shazam and Spider-Man. I can see that. That would be delightful. Daredevil and Batman. Pretty good. Yeah.
Honestly, I like.
Affleck Batman and Happy Hogan. Always love to see some Happy Hogan love in the comments. And lastly, the annoying Black Adam kid versus Thanos. And Josie responds...
So that's what I can definitely get behind.
Josie says Thanos would snap himself away if he went against that kid. Not even Thanos can stand. So I feel like you've stirred on too much Thanos hate.
I've started a movement, it seems, and I like this movement.
I do not. And Cal W says, I ran into Tom Cruise a few days ago. He was standing in the meat aisle of a local Piggly Wiggly. I thought it was weird that his mouth was foaming, but I ran over and talked to him. Hey, I love Top Gun Maverick, I said to him. Tom turned his head at me. He asked if I watched the Poorly Planned podcast. I was surprised that he would know who you guys were, but I said yes. Tom's pupils dilated, and he started barking at me. He then chased me out of the grocery store. I ran out of Piggly Wiggly terrified. I just thought you guys should know. So that's
how was that not the Tom Cnews?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear you had such a very real incident. I feel like
they've been occurring more frequently these days.
I also like the idea of Tom Cruise going to a Piggly Wiggly, which I've never heard
and
of.
And just foaming at the mouth.
Looking in the meat aisle. God, Piggly Wiggly. That is a place. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, no, thank you for that tale. I guess we'll keep our eyes out for Cruise. I'm so curious if I really hope this is a scenario where I meet Tom Cruise someday and I can just get a picture with him and just look into his eyes.
Fully ridicule him later on.
just because what if at that point, what if we get big enough that he knows? You know what I mean? What if that happened? What if we ran into him and he knew and he just took us to town for it? Not in not like a sexual way,
and he just got naked for us.
Anyway, Josie responds to the story saying, You went from running into Tom Cruise to running away from Tom Cruise. Very true. Very poignant.
Very astute.
Makes you think.
That's one for the thinking man.
But yeah, no, delightful.
We get Pericles on this one.
So yeah, for legal reasons that didn't happen, but also I guess we technically can't say that. We don't know for a fact. So
maybe it really did happen, and it'd be illegal for us to say that it didn't happen.
That's a good point. So we're just gonna leave it ambiguous. Who knows if Tom Cruise does shop at Piggly Wiggly? Anyway, that was the pod for this week. Unless you have any announcements and such, but I think we're good. I don't think the fan page hasn't posted anything. There was there are story posts, of course. So follow the fan pages, and if you enjoyed this episode, drop a like on the YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a comment down below what you thought of the episode, what you thought of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Let's get a little convo going. We're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If that tickles your fancy more, you can leave a 5-star rating there and a nice review. It helps bump us up. It helps us reach more people. You should also tell people in your life about the pod. Recommend it. Maybe they'd like it. Yeah. Maybe they'll hate it.
Give them a rec.
But they'll listen forever. You can find me on YouTube, BHL Hudson, Instagram, Twitter, BHL_Hudson, TikTok, BHL Hudson, Letterboxd, Real BHL Hudson. You can email the pod at bhlhudsonvids@gmail.com.
You can find me on Twitter at FTK_DaltSniper. You can find me on Instagram at Fidalgard. You can find me on Letterboxd at FTK_Thwilms. And you can find me on YouTube at FTK_Gaming.
Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Baku jumps into water.